Hello, and welcome to OurVentura.com. I'm your host for today, Frank Malle, and joining me in the studio is the primary producer of Santa Paula Theater Center, Miss Leslie Nichols. Leslie, welcome.
Thank you very much, Frank. I'm looking much forward to talking with you today.
I'm very excited about this as well. A producer. Now, there's a lot of mystique about what exactly a producer does. Can you enlighten us on this matter?
Well, I think probably the largest misconception about what a producer does is somehow or another it has to do with money, bringing money into the production and or backing the production. But that's very Hollywood or very Broadway. Primarily, the primary producer at the Santa Paula Theater Center is what might be likened to a line producer in film. Someone who kind of oversees the production, sees that the people working within the production, the director, the actors, the designers, get the support that they need. So it's kind of like a scout leader or a teacher or a Sunday school teacher or a mom or pop for the production.
Well, it says the producer usually has all the power, meaning that power is money, but in community theater, that's not necessarily the case.
Definitely not. And I think in many other professional productions in film and TV, it's not the case either. There, you read the credits and you see bunches of producers. So that's what ours does.
Liz, I know you've had a long involvement at Santa Paula Theater Center. Can you tell us a little bit of the history?
Yes, I can. I attended the very second workshop at the Santa Paula Theater Center.
A workshop?
Yes. Santa Paula Theater Center was founded by two professional actors, Dana Elcar and Bill Lucking. And both of them lived in Santa Paula, although they came at different times. And they wanted to live away from the hustle and bustle of the professional and glitzy world of Los Angeles. So both of them were theater trained, and when Dana moved to Santa Paula, Bill had already been living there for a number of years and was active in the community. They got together and they talked about starting a theater, but they wanted to make sure that the theater would have all the necessary support that it needed. Not only financial support, but that there was an interest in going to see plays, and that there were people in the community that wanted to see plays, and that there was a talent pool to draw from. So they began with a series of workshops before they did their first plays to see that all this could happen. And they had plenty of people coming out to the workshops. And in the meantime, they were checking out the community. They were out talking to people, appearing at service clubs, that type of thing, engendering some sort of rah-rah attitude toward the theater that they hoped to create.
And how long ago was that?
That was 1985. And so we just celebrated our major anniversary, 25 years. So,
was that workshop your first introduction to the theater?
It was. I went to the second one. I was invited by a friend of mine that had attended the first one, and I immediately had fun with it, and I made friends. The managing director at that time, Marianne Elcar, who was married to Dana Elcar at the time, and trained in theater herself, and I immediately became fast friends, and she really taught me a lot about producing. My very first experience with producing was a show called Room Service. And when she told me that I only had to paint the front of a piece of furniture because nobody was going to see the back and the sides, I thought, oh, this is terrific.
Well, do you have any idea how many shows you've actually produced?
No, I don't, but I would say if you kind of generalized and you said, I've been at this for 25 years and I've produced probably 5 shows a season.
So it's over 100 shows.
Yes, over 100 shows, yes.
Now, Santa Paula Theater Center is unique in that not only do they have their main stage productions, but they also have a backstage productions as well. Now, can you tell us the difference in how those two evolved?
Well, we were lucky in that after our first 2 or 3 years in the Presbyterian Church basement in Santa Paula, we knew that we could grow, and we fell into the Bell Clubhouse. The Bell Clubhouse is a beautiful craftsman building in Santa Paula on the corner of 7th and Main Street, with a gorgeous park in front of it. And for years, it had been tended by the Bell Club. But as our society changed and there were fewer women available to be active within the club and to keep the building up and to pay for those things that would keep a building up, it was determined by a foundation that managed it that it would be offered to us. So we took on the building, and it's a fabulous place. It was intended as a building to be an entertainment center. So it already had a main stage. We did add things to the main stage area that were not in evidence. We added risers for the audience, and we added a thrust to the stage. There was also in the back room, which had been kind of a luncheon room for the club, there was another stage. And it was a small stage for people that were speaking or when they were giving out awards or fashion shows and the like. And so we took that stage and created a second theater. At the time that we began the theater, there was less opportunity to do things that were a little bit edgier, controversial, or challenging. And so we wanted a backstage area where we could choose to do things that might be that or might not fit the main stage in terms of length of play, or it would be a kind of a proving ground for people trying out new skills. And so the backstage was begun. And then after a few years, through a series of events, it kind of went on hiatus. And we've begun that backstage area about 3 years ago. We began it again, and it has been in operation ever since.
And I understand part of that Backstage Productions is an annual one-act play festival or competition.
Yes, I think one of the charges of our backstage is to develop talent. And that would not only be acting talent, but directing talent, producing talent, designing talent, and writing talent. And attached to our theater, we have a writers group, and that's where the one acts kind of fomented in our writers group is the writers that were participating, supporting each other, reading their work to each other, started thinking, well, we are in this space where we could actually perform our work. And so that the first year that we did the one acts, they were all by writers that were attached to the writers group. And it's an annual event now, and this year we are looking for writers that are focused in this county. We're very much supporters of Ventura County and the artistic experience in Ventura County.
So if there are any local writers out there and they wanted to submit one of their plays for consideration, how would they do so?
Well, they could call the theater, which is 805-525-4645, or they could go to our website, which is www.santapaulatheatercenter.org, or they could call me. We have lots of ways that you can find out more about the theater, listings in the newspaper and whatever. And it's really easy to call the theater and ask to speak to me or to ask that their name be passed on.
So other than playwrights, if somebody wanted to, for instance, volunteer backstage or come and help paint the sets or help...
They would be very welcome. We are always looking for volunteers, yes.
Community theater sometimes gets a bad rap, being that it's not usually up to professional, quote-unquote, standards. And yet, I find some of the theater that I've seen here in Ventura County of the highest quality. One of the latest productions I saw here in Ventura County was just exceptional.
Well, I have a very well-defined opinion on that. I think we are very lucky here in Ventura County. We are adjacent to a major entertainment industry, and so therefore we have the benefits of all the talent that is in these areas. Mm-hmm. I prefer not to use the term community theater because of the feelings about that terminology that we were just saying.
Prefer?
I like non-union theater because I believe that most of the talent that we are working with here in Ventura County, not just the Santa Paula Theater Center, but all of our non-union theaters, is oftentimes professionally trained and educated and experienced. It's just that they have chosen a different path in their life in terms of making money for families and that type of thing. So we really have the benefit of a lot of artistic talent that can be focused on our theaters rather than on individual work situations because of other choices that participants have made.
Well, what if somebody, an actor was an equity actor or SAG actor? Can they still work at Santa Paula?
Definitely. We do occasionally. If we've chosen a play that requires a specific type of actor that we don't have in our actor pool, we can arrange with equity to provide a contract, and we have done that. We don't do it often, but we do it on a fairly regular basis, maybe once every season or once every 2 seasons. So yes, it's definitely possible.
Now, for many of the non-union theaters here in Ventura County, they rely heavily on musicals to bring in the audience. But I've noticed over the last several years that Santa Paula usually doesn't have a musical in their season. Is this a deliberate choice?
Well, it is kind of a deliberate choice, and on a number of reasons. One of them is that we don't have an orchestra pit, and we don't have the space for an orchestra pit. And also the leadership at Santa Paula has not always been musical theater based. Mm-hmm. So, and we began with kind of that serious theater reputation, and we really do seem to lean toward plays that are not supported by music. Although we have occasionally done them, it's not part of our regular charge.
Okay, all righty. Let's move on to talking about theater in general, Ventura County theaters in general, because theater is, as you can attest, alive and doing extremely well here in Ventura County. And part of that reason, I think, is because of an organization that you're very involved in called the 4-Star Theater Alliance.
That's right, and we are the perfect pair to talk about the 4-Star Theater Alliance because we are the genesis of it. Both you, Frank, and myself, you remember that we were participating in a play in Santa Paula. I was producing it. You were a featured player, which gave you some time off stage, and we spent quite a bit of time in the Santa Paula Theater Center kitchen talking about the fact that the theaters in Ventura County were still wishing for a chance to give out awards or for someone to single us out for the work we were doing. And we decided in our discussions that we should do that ourselves.
Absolutely.
And you generated a lot of a sounding board for me with some of the ideas I had already been thinking of. And just our conversations allowed me to go home and come up with a format that would work, that would be non-competitive, and yet create support and trust and camaraderie among the theaters, non-union theaters of Ventura counties.
And so now we're coming up to the 5th anniversary.
That's correct.
Of the 4-Star Theater Alliance.
Yes.
And who are the participating theaters?
Well, the participating theaters that are in this particular group are not the only non-union theaters in Ventura County, but we do have some commonality. And when I name them, you'll be able to see what I mean.
Let's name them quickly.
All right. We have Ojai Arts Center, and we have the Elite Theater Company in Oxnard. We have Camarillo Community Theater, and we have High Street in Moore Park, and we have the Santa Paula Theater Center. And have I left any out? Conejo Players is our first year with Conejo. Yes.
Most recent edition.
Yes.
So, if people want to find out more about Santa Paula Theater Center and the Four Star Alliance, they go to your website?
You may come to the Santa Paula Theater Center website for information on Santa Paula Theater Center, but Four Star Theater Alliance probably have to come to a member of the Theater Alliance to find out more about it.
Okay. All righty. Well, we're just about out of time. In fact, we are indeed out of time. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host for OurVentura.com, Frank Malle.